Welcome to Curiousaholic. My name is Haiko. I'm here with my good friend Evan.
Hello, Earthlings.
So, before we get into today's topic, here is a quick rundown of how the podcast works. So, in each episode, one of us comes up with an interesting topic that they are curious about and reveals it live to the other person in the hopes to spark a deep discussion and further our knowledge about the world around us.
Let's see what you brought up today.
Yes.
Sounded like a sad intro.
All right, so you're kind of guessing a bit again the theme.
Yeah.
From the sounds of it, yeah? Yeah. So, it is actually a bit of a sad, there's a sad connotation to it. But yeah, this was inspired actually from some real life events. As we're going to see, the topic of today that I chose is about the afterlife.
Oh, that's a great topic, actually.
That's a good one, right? It's an interesting one because, you can discuss endlessly about it and there are many, many different ideas. But just to give a little context, I guess maybe you're guessing a bit where I'm coming from here. There was a recent tragedy in my family where a family member of ours, an uncle-in-law, passed away. May his soul rest in peace. And, after those hard times going through that process, it kind of, made me think of the subject of the afterlife and, what happens after death? Is there such a thing as an afterlife? Do we go to another place, as many religions put forth? I feel like you became sad, Evan.
Right. No, it's I gave a little moment of silence there for your uncle that passed away.
Appreciate it.
So for sure you're able to, relate and discuss about this stuff after some tragic events in your life and stuff, and it's great to be able to speak about them too. Mm-hmm. As for myself, I've had experiences with death and all that stuff. So we're going to get into it.
I think you're familiar as well with that. Yeah. So I don't want people who are watching us or listening to us to get sad here. I know maybe it might be a bit of a morbid topic. We don't want to think about it, but it's an eventuality. It will all, come to us. So we have to accept it.
Right. I mean, it is part of life, and, discussing about it and coming to terms with it is always the best way and the first step to finally accept what happened, so
to acknowledge it and then get ready.
So I think for you it's a good opportunity, right, to be able to get on with it.
Definitely. So it was an opportunity to discuss this, so let's go forward. So before we discuss some of the ideas, let me give kind of an outline of how the episode will work. So the ideas that we're going to discuss are going to be mostly religious based because it's really religion who is the main kind of, driver, of the ideas of the afterlife. If we could kind of categorize the major religions into two groups, we would have first the Abrahamic religions like Christianity, Judaism, etc., and the Indian religions like Buddhism, Hinduism, and what they tell about the afterlife. So we're going to study some of those ideas first, and then we're going to see some of the explanation science gives. What does science think about the afterlife? Is there consciousness after some people die? I'm going to look into that. Then we're going to question the religious beliefs. Are they real? Not? What do we think? And then give our closing thoughts on it.
Right. I think, different religions have different perspectives of their interpretation of the afterlife. Mm-hmm. But I think there's always a common ground, there's always something that happens after one passes, and it's good. They kind of have differences but also a lot of similarities, I find.
Definitely. You're gonna notice that. I think a lot of people in our world, they fight together, they fight each other because they all have different beliefs, but at the end of the day, when you see them, you're like, you guys all have similar ideas. Why are you not getting along,
Right, yeah. There is a lot of debate on this and a lot of fighting, like you said, right, mm-hmm. about who's right and who's wrong, but you will never really know the answer, I think, but it's good to try to figure out who's right. Maybe we'll find out, I guess.
We'll see. We're not here to give any right or wrong answers, but that's what we're here. We're here to go deep into it, right? That's our thing. All right, so let's begin. So first, religious beliefs, the Abrahamic religions. Also, just a disclaimer, I'm not a theologist or any, person who's done a doctorate studies on religions, because obviously there are so many denominations of each religion and different interpretations and etc. I would never be able to cover all of those. So the ideas that I'm going to show today are more generally accepted, in each religion. I don't want people saying, no, you're wrong, Islam doesn't believe in that, or it's not,
Right.
quite right. Because even in the religions themselves, there's debate about, what happens after, after
For sure,
death.
yeah. It's all up to interpretation too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
whatever was written, let's say in the Quran or the Bible, like it's us interpreting what was written like thousands of years ago too. And then these people, like experts, like theologians, like you said, they make a living out of, interpreting what these religions are actually trying to say and portray.
Exactly. Yep. So, all right, let's begin. So, one of the major religions, I think most people know, Christianity, right? Their main ideas of what the afterlife has for us is, first of all, heaven and hell, right? You're good, you go to heaven. You're bad, you go to hell. The most rudimentary way to put that. Besides that, there's also other places like purgatory. I guess you've heard of that place, which is a place of purification before heaven. So basically, you might have done some bad things, so you weren't ready for heaven. So it's like a detention center. Before.
It's like the gray zone. It's like you're not good enough to go to heaven. You're not bad enough to go to hell. So you're like right in between. So you have to go to the purgatory and then cleanse yourself before transcending to heaven.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you will go to heaven, but you have to go to detention first, if you will. And then the fourth place is called limbo. A lot of people think, limbo is kind of like this state of nothingness where you're just, there and there's nothing, which is true, but it's actually a place for the unbaptized people.
Okay.
Or they say for children who died before having the chance to be baptized, they're going to go in limbo. Apparently, God won't accept them in heaven or hell. They're not worthy to get punished nor to enjoy the presence of God. So they're just in limbo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would they get baptized in that limbo state? What goes on there?
From what I read, no. I mean, you have to get baptized, I think, while
Earth.
you're alive. Yeah.
Okay.
which kind of sucks. Like, I didn't just like to die before.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, me too. I was surprised when I learned about it. It's also the place for people who don't accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. Because in Christianity, it's one of the things you have to accept Christ as your Savior for you to go to heaven. So if you don't accept Christ, well, you didn't do a huge sin, but you're not worthy again.
Okay, so atheism would be classified as limbo.
Yeah, I guess all the atheists are gonna hang out in limbo.
I gotta watch out.
Same. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's some of those ideas of the afterlife for Christianity. I think most people are aware of those. Afterwards, the other main religion is Judaism. Judaism is a little kind of iffy about the afterlife. They don't have like a hard set of ideas of what happens after death. They're more focused on the present life. They're more focused about, how you conduct yourself in your life, what do you do, the good deeds and etc., which I find, kind of better to not just like focus, okay, I have to prepare myself for, what happens after death. But they do have a couple of ideas. One of them they call the Sheol, which is apparently dark underworld where all the dead souls regroup.
Okay.
So it's like a graveyard for souls. When you die, your soul goes to that Sheol place and you stay there. It's
interesting.
Nothingness, really. You're just in the dark.
Yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning as we go along. These are things I wasn't
interesting,
aware
right?
of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's one of the main ideas, which is pretty plain, I guess. Nothing much happens. The other idea that they believe in is called world to come, or in Judaism they say Olam Haba. And that's, again, kind of like a place like heaven. It's a place for the righteous people. It's a better world. But it's not like heaven as in, I don't know, like you're going up in the sky or like a paradise. It's another world. It's a better world, for people to live in. I don't know if it's like a world like ours or more divine type of world.
I guess we'll never know.
It was difficult. Like when I was doing this research, there was so much information on it, so many different interpretations again. Because it's pretty vague, world to come. What world?
Right. I mean, like you said, everything is up for interpretation, right? We're never going to know the actual answer. It's just, Judaism's like beliefs and what their interpretation is of what happens after someone passes away.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they are beliefs. There aren't,
realities
facts
yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, it was interesting to know that. Oh, also another thing with Judaism, they don't believe in eternal damnation.
Okay.
That's why, I didn't mention hell or anything like it. So it's not like your soul is going to get punished and, burn forever. You're just, I guess, not going to be, not going to do much. You're just going to extinct. Like,
yeah, you're going to be like, you're going to dissipate and go away.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of about Judaism. The next major religion is Islam. So Islam is actually pretty similar to Christianity. So again, after death, you either go to heaven or hell. But there's a little twist. Apparently, when you die, there are angels from God that come, and then they question you. And to see if you're good, then you would go to this place called Barzakh that they call, which is a state of asleep where you're awaiting Judgment Day. So basically, if you're good, you go to Barzakh and you wait while you're asleep until Judgment Day. If you're not good, then the angels will torment you and punish you until Judgment Day.
Interesting.
So the good ones will sleep all fine and dandy, and the other ones
are going to get pestered a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, pestered. And then on Judgment Day, it says God decides who goes to heaven and hell.
Okay.
So the angels don't decide. I feel like the angels are like the HR department of God.
The little elves.
Yeah, exactly. They
Yeah.
recruit, for God.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Then-
their role.
Then God is like, "Yep, you come. No, you're going."
Yeah, obviously we're making light of this, but it's,
Yeah, I know. We don't want to like also offend anybody or
not our intention at all.
exactly. Just making little jokes. But we know people, take their belief seriously, and we have nothing against that. Everybody to their own belief. Yeah, so heaven is called Jannah, and hell is called Jahannam. So that's the names that they give. So yeah, as you see kind of the similarities.
Yeah, there's similarities there, I think.
Between Christianity and Islam, especially, they're pretty. But even Judaism with the world to come, a better place, kind of like heaven. So
Right. Like you said, all three of those religions are tied into the same, like kind of like subgroup.
yeah, that's why they're called
Right.
the Abrahamic religions, because they
Exactly.
started from old scriptures, religious scriptures.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's why they're based off of.
It's kind of like, when you have like a language and like all those languages are, like let's say all Latin languages, and all those little languages have similarities because they originated from Latin or something.
Exactly.
So it's kind of the same.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, they're all based from the same root.
Exactly. Yeah.
But as you see, each language interprets itself differently.
Exactly.
Different
Yeah.
words, etc. But yeah, so that covers the main Abrahamic religions. Next up, if our slide wouldn't have any issues.
Little technical issue here.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
There we go.
So, next up is the Indian religions. The Indian religions, there are many, but again, I chose kind of the major ones. First one being Buddhism, as a lot of people know. So Indian religions in general, they believe in reincarnation. Okay.
Yep.
So compared to Abrahamic religions where, when you die, you go to this other world or heaven, hell, etc. Them, they believe that, you're born again. And
Right.
it restarts. Okay, so the way Buddhism works is that after you die, you reincarnate either as a human or an animal, and that is based on your karma. That's also
Right.
another word that we hear. Yeah, karma is basically your deeds, either good or bad.
Right.
Okay, so if you accumulate a lot of good karma, then you will reincarnate as a human. If you have a lot of bad karma, you will reincarnate as an animal. Like
Wow.
animals are considered, I guess, lower beings.
That's not nice.
That's not nice, I know.
No, I'm joking. I mean,
but you
yeah.
get the idea, yeah. If you're bad, I guess you'll be a mosquito.
That's interesting though, because like, yeah, no offense obviously to anyone that believes in this, but it's almost like that kind of sets humans above like the other species or something. It's
Yeah, it's like
interesting.
speciesism, I guess you could call
Yeah,
it.
so for a lack of a better word, like, yeah, species, is that an actual word?
I think it is, yeah.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I guess that was a good word then.
No, it is, yeah. It's a common thing where, you know, people think they're superior to animals. You're a speciesist, I guess. Yeah, that's what you
Yeah,
call it.
interesting. Yeah, but I don't think that we humans are better necessarily than other animals or whatever, but that's
Yeah.
just my opinion.
Same, yeah. Just because, you know, we can think and are conscious doesn't mean we're worthy more to live than, you know, animals. But again, that's a little, you know, controversial topic. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that.
You know what's interesting? Just to sorry to go off on a tangent,
Yeah,
but
go
I
ahead.
feel like a lot of people that like follow these religions are actually like vegetarian, and then like it's weird. You know what I mean? You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know, like the contradiction. in
Yeah,
their
there's like
beliefs.
a little contradiction there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, humans are just full of contradictions. Anyways.
I would like to know the reason of why a lot of those religions tend not to eat like any animal-based products, if they also think that like humans are higher levels of karma than animals. But that's
Yeah.
just like a tangent, anyways.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure if like all Buddhists, you know, think that they're superior to animals. It's just what I read in terms of what you respawn as.
Okay. Yeah.
They said, yeah, if you had bad deeds, then you will be an animal. I don't know. I think, okay, let me just continue to explain what happens. So once you're reborn, so basically the idea is that you will keep being born and die. It's like the cycle
Yeah.
of rebirth until you can reach nirvana. I think that's another term a lot of people have heard. And you know what nirvana
Yeah.
is? Yeah.
The band, right?
No, not the band.
No, I know what it is.
It's enlightenment, basically. Yeah. So to reach nirvana, you have to basically have this list of understandings. I forgot what the name was, but basically you have to understand what suffering is, how people are created, what the purpose of life is, the universe, everything. You have to basically kind of be enlightened, woke. And once you reach that enlightenment, you basically cease to exist. There's no need for you to exist anymore. So you're not going to be reborn again.
Right.
So the cycle only continues until one of you can reach nirvana, and then
Right. Okay.
it disappears. Which
So-
is kind of interesting.
Yeah. I was gonna say like, so could that level of karma be reached in any form? So like, let's say you're an animal at that stage in your cycle.
I
Would
was questioning myself. I was like, okay, if you're a mosquito, let's say,
Yeah.
how do you get good karma? Like, what is
Exactly.
the deeds you have to do? I think from what I was reading, it said like you have to just live your life, I guess, as a mosquito, you know, and just be a mosquito until your karma would regenerate again, and then you would have another chance, another go
It's really interesting.
at
We
being
should,
a human.
we should make another podcast on Buddhism.
On just Buddhism, yeah, I know. I'd be down for it. It'd be pretty cool.
One day we'll keep it in mind.
Sure. So yeah, basically the way Buddhism sees it as well, it's not that when you die, you reincarnate. So let's say Haiko dies, it's not Haiko who's going to come up as another body. It's a flow of life. It's a continuous flow of life. So when you die, your life stream goes to another soul, and then they
Right.
get
So it's
born.
not your own soul. Like it's say Evan that, Evan would be transmitted to a
another
mosquito and Evan that is not a mosquito. Yeah, it's like a stream of life, like you said, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
makes
Your
sense.
mind stream gets transferred, and that's what lives on. So their goal, I guess, is for one of you to be, reach nirvana. So it doesn't matter. It's Evan who reaches nirvana or Haiko who reaches nirvana. It's just life itself. That one particle of life reaches.
Makes
So,
sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess. I mean, I'm still trying to understand how
It's an
it all
interesting
works.
perspective, though, I find.
Yeah.
Like way different than the Abrahamic religions.
Yeah, it's different, way different. There's no God, there's no heaven, hell, none of that. But yeah, so it is an interesting perspective on it, definitely. Hinduism now, it is very similar to Buddhism. However, the way they see it is that your soul reincarnates. Okay. So that's kind of the main difference. Buddhism is just mind stream that gets transferred. Hinduism is you that gets,
You're
reincarnated
all the time. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Hinduism is older than Buddhism, right?
That's a good question.
I believe so. If I remember correctly, I think Buddhism took a lot of its elements from Hinduism.
You're right.
And then that became its own like religion and belief system.
Because I think Buddha was in India. I think, he was Indian. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. I think Buddha, I think maybe he was practicing Hinduism don't quote me on this, and then he adopted his own belief system from those elements in Hinduism.
That's why it's called Buddhism.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think you're right. We might have to go, search that up, but that's why you see the similarities between it. Hinduism is your soul that reincarnates. Buddhism is your mind stream. In Hinduism, your body is like a vessel. That's how they see it. It's just a vessel again to reach nirvana.
Right.
Although, I'm trying to understand though, if it's your soul, okay, I die and I get reincarnated as another baby. Do I still have my old memories? Do I still have, what makes me me?
Right. Yeah, I guess, like you said, for Buddhism, it's like a stream of life that gets transmitted. But if we go based on what Hinduism believes, I guess you would keep all those memories and, maybe not like all your talents and your skills, because you can't really a mosquito can't really perform like human activities. Right?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe like the memories get transmitted or something, or that's what I think.
But that's what I'm saying. All the suffering you had, let's say you lived 80 years and then that's going to be transferred in a baby. Damn, that baby's going to be pretty
he's going to be damned already.
He's going to be deep. He's going to be born and sad and he's
going to have a beard when he starts his life.
He's going to walk out of there.
Yeah.
But that's, I don't know. I'm not sure how that quite works. I feel no, I don't think your memories would. I think they're just saying your soul gets transferred, the core of it is still you, but with a fresh slate.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
I think that makes more sense.
I think that makes more sense.
Because imagine, because the goal again is to reach nirvana, and you will keep dying and getting reborn and dying until you reach nirvana. So imagine you do that 100 times, and all those 100 years of memories, get a.
I guess that would also influence your level of obtaining karma, right? If let's say you were evil your whole life and then you get retransmitted to a mosquito, then you're gonna be an evil mosquito.
Even mosquito.
But if your soul gets transmitted to the mosquito and it's a clean slate, like you said, then maybe that mosquito will be able to obtain karma more easily.
Yeah, have another chance at it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think you're right. I think that's how.
I think that makes more sense.
That works. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, it is still an interesting take on the afterlife. And the third religion is Sikhism. These guys are really sick. No. Okay, so they're kind of agnostic to the question of the afterlife. They don't, have, set in stone ideas. They're kind of similar to the Abrahamic religions. They believe, some believe in heaven and hell that can exist, but apparently it's temporary to punish, but then you're reborn again, apparently they say. So you might die, go to hell, get punished, and then you're reborn again. So there's a mix of both reincarnation and, punishment.
It's almost like a fusion between the Abrahamic religions and the Indian religions.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of one idea. The other one, they say, that humans are like the closet of God, basically, that God lives through each person. God chooses, okay, today I'm going to be Evan and I'm going to live as Evan,
I always knew I was God deep down.
I am God. Like Morgan Freeman.
You've seen the movie Evan Almighty?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, Morgan Freeman, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is
God.
Morgan, yeah.
When he's like, I am God. I think if God actually lived on Earth, he'd be Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
But yeah, so apparently, yeah, they also believe in that God lives through each person, and then when you die, your soul exists eternally. You're not dying because God never dies, so you're eternal. Yeah,
Makes sense.
makes sense, I guess. Anyways, it's interesting takes on the subject of the afterlife. But yeah, so this kind of gave us a basis. Now moving forward, we will question some of those beliefs. Oh yeah, before that, we will look at what science explains about the afterlife. It isn't quite about like, oh, what is gonna happen like once you're completely dead. It's more like, is there consciousness when you like die? People when they have cardiac arrests, they say, I was conscious, or I wasn't dead.
Yeah, they still had like a glimpse of what was going on to their physical body, I guess.
Yeah, so which are called near-death experiences. So basically, in 2008, apparently there was a large-scale experiment in many hospitals around the world where basically every time they had someone come in the emergency room where they were having a cardiac arrest, if they were conscious, they would interrogate them not interrogate, I mean, ask questions to those patients. Apparently, 40% of the patients who survived the cardiac arrest said that they were conscious, even if they were clinically dead.
Wow, that's interesting.
That's cool, right?
Yeah. It kind of reminds me, I think we spoke about this on a podcast once. Like, remember how we were mentioning like people that are in comas, and like even though they're not physically, connected with reality, they still kind of had an idea of what was happening around them in the hospital. But
Okay.
yeah, so it's kind of like what you said with the cardiac arrest, right? Physically, technically, they're not alive, or they're not really like connected with what's going on in the outside world, but it's almost like they still knew what was happening.
Yeah. Well, basically, I think how that is explained is because their brain wasn't dead yet. Okay, because being clinically dead and biologically dead is two different things. Clinically dead means your heart has stopped, there's no blood flow in your organs, so you're clinically dead. But brain dead means now you're completely gone.
Yeah, there's a disconnect.
Yeah, you have zero consciousness. And 9% of those 40% that said they were conscious said that they reported entering an otherworldly realm, kind of like heaven or whatever. Most people also say, I had this, tunnel of light and I was walking towards that tunnel. It's always kind of the same.
Yeah, or like the light, like their life flashing by in front of them.
Yeah,
that's another one.
That one as well is quite often cited during those experiences. And a lot of times when these people experience these near-death experiences, they go around transmitting to people their newfound knowledge, saying, I know heaven exists, I saw it, and I know it's there. But science explains that a lot of the times what happens is that your body is kind of shutting down, and it's just your nerves kind of just shooting randomly in your eyesight, and you're just your brain basically playing tricks on you.
Right.
You're seeing these weird lights, but it's just your brain basically. But anyways, some people, it changes them for the better. Actually, they live their life more positively. They don't take their life for granted, which I guess it's a positive thing.
I guess it almost puts them in like a dream state, right? I mean, when the brain is kind of like acting on its own, right? And then it starts like flashing images in front of the person's eyes and stuff.
Yeah, let's say it's
and
like
then maybe they might interpret it as, it was heaven, but it could be that, the way science explains it, I think personally makes sense.
Yeah, it's just brain activities that you're interpreting in some way.
Yeah
Exactly. So from those studies and seeing what people see after being clinically dead, so evidence suggests that there is some consciousness after death in the first few minutes. So even people who are dying, their brain is dying, like they are still conscious for a few minutes, and then afterwards they completely pass away. But yeah, basically science says once you're dead, you're dead. There's no, it's just darkness,
Yeah.
Because science can't start, delving into the afterlife, heaven and hell, because those things just cannot be studied and there's no evidence for it. they're just beliefs. At that point, it's religion who takes over.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beyond our, our understanding. Because, science always tries to understand like the factual evidence of what's happening.
Of the material world.
Exactly. Of the material world. Whereas, religion tries to understand what happens afterwards and beyond the world we live in, right?
Yeah. Beyond and before, what created the universe, how did we just come to exist, all that. Yeah.
I guess science tries to address that too, like before we existed, but
True.
no one has ever figured out who's right and who's wrong,
It's still hard to prove, even like, the Big Bang Theory and all that.
Maybe everyone's right. Maybe like there is like an interconnection somewhere,
Yeah, those ideas are right, but this is also right, yeah. But yeah, it's just interesting to see kind of all the different points of views. All right, so now let's start to question some of those religious beliefs. This is where it's going to get interesting. Okay, so do you believe in heaven and hell? Do you think such a place could exist?
Personally, without, discussing too much of like my religious beliefs and all that, I don't think so. Just because like, that's just my opinion. I think that like, we're here for a reason on earth. And I don't know if like there's a reason for us to be there afterwards, like we have a purpose here. And I think like once we serve our purpose, then, that's it kind of. That's how I look at it. I don't know if like I could be entirely wrong, maybe tomorrow I'll pass away and I'll see what
But that's the thing.
heaven is,
You can't really know if you hadn't done it. But if you're dead, how can you tell other people?
That's true also. But like if I go along with what religion says and my consciousness actually lives on after I'm dead, then maybe I'll find out for myself that I was wrong,
Yeah, exactly. You can't know until you reach that point,
But that's why I feel like a lot of what's discussed in religion is a lot of like speculation too, because no one has ever spoken to the dead, right? Like you can't.
Some people would,
Here we go.
I have spoken to many dead people and ghosts and the clairvoyant, what do you call those?
How do you call those?
Man, forgot the names. Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
The witches,
Like psychics and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Witches.
Well, yeah. I mean, black magic people or whatever. Around the ball.
Crystal ball.
Crystal balls. Yeah. So if I would answer that question, me myself, I'm more evidence based, more science based. I don't see any evidence for that. It's kind of hard to prove the existence of heaven and hell. It's a belief, if you believe in that, that's fine. If that's what makes you feel good, that's okay. I don't think there's no right or wrong. I can't prove that heaven and hell doesn't exist, and religious people can't either, but some people are fervent, that it does.
It's kind of interesting, just to make like a personal anecdote. My mom passed away when I was a kid, and even though I don't believe in like heaven or hell, I still like sometimes like communicate with her somehow, like, well, not directly, but I try to communicate with her sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's weird.
But like it's how like when you're asleep or when you're just like normally sometimes
not like a prayer or anything, but just like, let's say something is going bad or whatever, or just like
memories,
just a memory, or saying what I think to her makes like, if that makes sense, or like throwing an idea out there,
like an internal prayer.
Almost like an internal reflection, even though I know she's not gonna necessarily respond. It's almost like I know she's there somewhere. Maybe
it's self-comforting.
Yeah, it's almost like self-comforting.
Okay,
but I don't necessarily believe in heaven or hell.
Yeah. No, I get it. And that kind of does a great segue actually to the next question, which I was going to ask. Why do people believe in these different places after death? Is it comforting? Is the idea of possibly going to heaven, not hell, obviously, or a better world, comforting to people?
Well, I think to answer that question, I think it is a comfort thing. like I know, like for myself too, like losing my mom was a difficult part of my life too, and you know, thinking that maybe she's maybe still around somewhere, maybe not up there, like in heaven, or obviously not in hell, but I'm saying like she's almost like she lives inside me, kind of, maybe, if
Yeah.
I could put it that way. So like an internal comfort, maybe.
Just in your mind.
Yeah. So maybe that's why some people like to think about, like, yeah, you know, when someone passes away, they're up there looking down on you and protecting you and stuff. So yeah, I think it is a comfort thing, just by personal experience.
Yeah, I think that's a good comparison, and I think a lot of people think that as well. It's just because a lot of people are scared from death. Most people don't want to accept it, don't want to come to terms with it, even though it is part of life. People make up, what happens, that life still continues and you live eternally, which is fine. If that makes you live your life comfortably, thinking, there's another better place, then sure. But, other people are fine just thinking, when I'm dead, I'm dead.
Yeah. It's weird because when I think about other people that passed away around me, I like to believe that maybe they are kind of like still living
around
in my mind or something.
Yeah.
But like when I see myself dead, like I don't see myself like living on. It's weird. It's like when I'm dead, I'm like,
you're like, guys, I'm gone. Ciao.
Yeah, it's weird. Like
I don't want to stick around.
I don't know. That's just my like view of it. It's strange.
Yeah, obviously, I guess for yourself, you never think that, you'd be around. It's, to death. I forgot what the expression was, but they say death isn't hard for the person dying. It's hard for the people alive.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, yeah, I think that's a very good saying, actually.
Because a lot of times, parents or family members, when they're dying, they're saying, don't be sad, continue living your life happily. If I'm gone, it's fine. Just remember me and that's all. But because those people aren't able to accept the death, they feel, bad, because the person dying, you can't feel anything. You can't see anything. You're done. And if you think about it, might sound a bit morbid, but we kind of die every day when we sleep.
Interesting. Yeah.
Is it not die, but when you're unconscious, what do you see? What do you feel? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Right?
Yeah.
So we kind of know how it feels, if you will, but
yeah,
we wake up, right? That's the comforting thing. We're like, okay, I'm going to sleep, but I'm going to come back up,
Yeah. Also, kind of along this point, I heard, like, this also might sound a little morbid, like when some people actually like commit suicide, you know how like those people are usually very like deeply in pain, right, inside, and that causes them to end their life. And that person that ended up killing themselves might think that was the only solution. But I read something interesting where it's almost like that pain that person was feeling, it gets transmitted to everyone else around them,
Interesting.
Like not like, it's not really what happens, but it's kind of like figurative, right? Like that person that passed away because he was in pain, then all the people around him that knew the person, then they're going to be so much in pain because of what happened. That's almost like the pain went to them,
It mentally affects other people. Yeah.
It was deep when I read that. I was like, wow, I never thought of that, and it's crazy
Sometimes
to think that.
That's a good example. Well, not good, but I mean, it illustrates how, you don't live in a vacuum. You do influence other people, how other people feel. And so that's why, when you die, it's not as hard on you as it is on other people around you.
I don't remember where I read that and why it turned up, but I had read that somewhere, and it was crazy. I was like, wow, that's insane.
It's an interesting way to see it, but yeah. Anyway, so I think it is a comforting idea. Just to answer, this second question, I think we kind of agree both on that. Third question. So especially in Christianity and Islam, why is life on Earth seen like as a lobby before entering the actual realm where you're supposed to go?
Because I think people are never, it's almost like people don't understand why they're here. It's like they're on Earth and it takes them so long to understand like who they are, and then it's almost like they haven't come to terms that they might never figure that out, and then afterwards they're like, anyways, I'm going to heaven after, and it'll be fine after, so even though I don't understand why I'm here, it's okay, I'm going to go to heaven after and it's going to be better, so it's not, for me, it's almost like people haven't come to terms and to figure out who they are as a person.
They don't understand what the point of life is here. They just know there's a better place awaiting.
Exactly. So then a lot of religions come up with these ideas that, hey, it's okay, like either way we're going to heaven after.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's important to like live your own life while you're here, and
which I think Judaism is more focused on that. They're more focused on living your present life. Well, let me just say Christianity and Islam as well, they say, do good deeds, live your life, etc. But Judaism doesn't believe in eternal damnation per se, and even their ideas of the afterlife, it's kind of like, it's some interpreted in different ways, but they're more focused on how you conduct yourself. But yeah, it is an interesting way how Christianity and Islam see the current life as you have to suffer, for your sins, right? And then you will go to heaven. You have to basically prove yourself worthy for that better life afterwards, which is, interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. But, I think it is important to like figure out who you are, and not like take it for granted that I'm gonna go somewhere else after, and it's
to not waste your current life. That's what I find.
Make the best of life while you're here, and do all those things, like do good deeds and be selfless and all that. That's important too. But also make yourself someone while you're here on Earth, and be proud of who you are too, and not just think that you're here for no reason.
True. That's good advice. Yeah, definitely. And just to not focus on the afterlife, make the best out of your current life, be the best that you can be, because anyways, nobody can prove to you what actually happens, after you die. Yes, your Bible might say you go here, your religious members or in your churches, people would say, yeah, you're going to go to heaven, boy, you're going to be good. And you might believe that, but can they actually prove it to you? No. So live your best life now.
Yeah. And there are some religious groups that, they try to transmit the wrong message too, like cults and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Giving people the wrong idea of what happens after, and then people become brainwashed, and they almost lose like consciousness entirely. They become part of the cult, and it's like they're not even
their
themselves
individuality
anymore.
is lost.
They lose their individuality, and they become like a slave of the cult, just because they're so preoccupied with what's going to happen after, and they need to make all of that happen in order for them to go to heaven or whatever the cult is trying to say.
Yeah, true. Which there are a lot, and a lot of these cults have been involved in many different crimes and violence against people, or just stealing your money, saying, this man, he's the one responsible. He's a prophet. He has connections to God or whatever. You have to pay him up so he can tell you your future, your destiny, or whatever other.
Some disgusting stuff in there.
Yeah. So you have to be careful, people. Use your brain, make sure, whatever you believe in, make sure, it's for your own good, that it's not benefiting somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, don't make it, so that you're kind of losing your mind, I really want to go to heaven after, like I need to prove myself. Like, I don't think that's a real, like, a good idea to do that. Like,
yeah,
I don't see.
I think if you do believe in God and you would go to heaven, I guess God would see what you did,
Yeah.
Prove it with your actions. Just live your life the best that you can, and have good values.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, don't beat yourself up if you made a mistake and you're like, oh no, like, I missed my trip to heaven because of that,
Yeah, a lot of people, they might engage in some things and they're like, oh my God, I drank alcohol, I did drugs, or I did some other.
It's crazy just because
activity.
Like I was born Catholic, and even at church, like we used to go there, like when I was younger, there was the, I don't know how you really call it, but like kind of like a room where you confess your sins and all
Oh
that.
yeah, the confession room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just blows my mind because
I've
think
never seen those,
I think I've been
actually.
in one
You been in one?
once, but I don't remember what I said. I was young.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Like with your parent?
No, I was just there
Just alone?
alone in a dark room, confessing my sins as a 7-year-old.
Through priests, through like holes in the wall.
Yeah, yeah. We're not mocking it. We're just, I don't know. It's crazy to think that like some kids have to go through that too.
Yeah, which can be tough mentally, just on kids in general, is feeling like they have sinned. It's such a hard thing to bear on your shoulders, right?
I find it hard to believe that kids can actually be considered sinful. Like children are so pure,
And innocent, yeah, that they can't consciously, think of doing something evil. And most of the things children do is by looking at adults, by being influenced by adults, or by being neglected or abused. Children are the product of adults, so
Exactly. So most of the time when a child thinks they're sinful, then it's probably the adult's fault.
yeah, exactly. The parents should go in the confession room.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so it is interesting to see somehow the religions think of life now as suffering, for the afterlife to be better. And yeah, my fourth question was, I think we kind of talked about this, where I was saying about reincarnation, especially in Hinduism, how the soul is reborn multiple times, but we kind of answered that, how we think you kind of start clean.
Yeah, like a clean slate every time.
Clean slate every time, yeah. But it's still in the core, it's you. Anyways, to kind of conclude the episode of today, I guess, yeah, now the last questions I have here, what are our own beliefs of the afterlife? What would you say? So I guess
we kind of like
answered.
gave our 2 cents on that throughout the episode, but yeah, kind of to recap,
Just to conclude, yeah.
I think both of us are pretty like down to earth people, quite literally.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of
feel
funny.
the earth.
Yeah. No, but like, yeah, you know what I mean. Like, we base a lot of our ideas on science and
the material
and factual
world.
ideas, kind of. So
True.
yeah.
So, yeah, I guess our idea of the afterlife isn't much, really. We don't have any beliefs necessarily of what happens, whatever happens. I can't really tell. For me, is once I'm brain dead, I'm gone. It's like an eternal sleep, really. But yeah, so, and my last question is, should we be more preoccupied with our current life or our possible afterlife? I guess we also answered that.
I think worrying about our own current life is the most important thing that we could do.
Yeah.
And then we will be rewarded one day, I think, from all the, living our lives to the fullest and stuff, and not worrying too much of what's happening after, almost like rewarding yourself.
Yeah. But also, with some of the examples you gave, the life that you lead, the good life that you have, the positivity that you have is going to be transmitted to the other people around you. And if everyone lives their best life, then I believe that collectively we will all be elevated. And I kind of believe in the idea that heaven and hell is not somewhere up or down. It's here. It's on earth. We either create hell on earth or we create heaven on earth.
It's true. And that's a really good point, because that kind of almost reflects what I was trying to say with my mom earlier, where I don't really think she's like in heaven. I think she's here, like just, almost like in my head almost, or in my body kind of,
because she did pass, away here. So in our world. So
yeah,
I guess you can say, all the dead souls are part of this world with us.
Like, I don't really believe in like spirits or anything, but I think it's almost like her being is almost like inside me now. It's weird. It's like,
what I could explain that with, because my kind of own belief on this, it's not something concrete, but I would say that we're all in a way connected, that we're all sort of this one consciousness that is universe. I know I'm kind of sounding new age, new world here, but if you think about it, yeah, that we're just all the same consciousness, just being experienced in different forms, you know? We're just all part of the same space dust that got created into, you know, what we are today.
Yeah. We're all the same system.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a teacher that used to say that all the time. So, yeah, anyways.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, mechanical systems, electrical systems, all the same system. He used to say
That's
that.
your engineering background that kicks in.
Yeah, he used to say that all the time. But yeah, anyways, I agree with you. Like I feel like we're all somewhat connected, you know?
Yeah. It's just every person just experiences life through their own, you know, blinders, through their own view.
Yeah.
But if they open up, we're all just part of the same thing, you know. We just always love to divide. Oh, you go to hell, you go to heaven. You're Muslim, I'm Christian. You're this and that. It's come on, let's just.
Yeah. Like, I mean, all our lives are kind of like interconnected, right? I mean, if I wasn't here, then you know this podcast wouldn't exist. If you weren't here, same thing, right? I mean, somehow we got connected in a way, right?
Yeah. Our ideas, our energy attracted each other.
Yeah.
Getting a bit more spiritual.
I knew you were my
here.
podcast soulmate from the beginning. So,
exactly, yeah. I think we affirmed that in our
first ever
first,
episode.
well, second technically, yeah. But yeah, exactly. So if we did believe on some sort of heaven and hell, I think it'll be here on Earth, but not in a different place, not in the clouds or down in the earth.
All right.
But yeah, I guess that concludes it. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I think we covered all grounds.
Good. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.
Peace.
Play us out.
Hell yeah.
Get it? Hell yeah.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Curiousaholic.
Our show is available on all of your favorite streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher.
If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure to leave a comment letting us know what you've been curious about.
We release new episodes every single week just like this one.
But until next time, stay curious, folks.